Hello and welcome to Motorsport and Scale Reviews. In today's episode, we're going to have a quick look in the box at the new Meng 112 scale McLaren MP4 from 1988. So here we go. That's the box. We'll just have a quick look. Pull the cover. Show you how it comes packaged. That's about it. I have had a quick look through here. I actually opened this one bag to get some parts out to do a review of some of the aftermarket parts I have for it. We'll talk about that a little later. But anyways, it's a pretty full box, pretty well packaged. It's not a very big box. It's quite deep. I know it's kind of hard to see, but it's quite deep, about 6 inches. So it looks like there's a lot of plastic in here. Anyways, I'm going to go off camera here, get everything unbagged, and come back and we'll have a quick look at the contents. Alright, got everything unpacked. Got the instruction manual here, so I got to turn off my overhead light so it cuts the glare off of this. But let's have just a quick flip through the instruction manual. I'm not going to go into much detail here, just the usual. Starts off, looks like, with the engine. Obviously, if you want to see anything in detail, just pause the video. Yeah, the instructions look quite nicely laid out, very clear. Not very busy, which is nice, so it'll be easy to follow along. There appears to be quite a few parts to this kit. I don't know if I don't know if there's a parts count anywhere. Gives you some wiring detail. This is kind of nice. It shows you at the beginning of the step the parts. This one only has one, but the parts you're going to be using for that step. So that's kind of a nice little, I don't know if Meng does that on their other kits. I don't think I've ever built a Meng kit, so I don't know if this is atypical instructions or if this is typical of their instructions. But anyways, they look nicely laid out. Let's get through these. That looks like the end of it, and just gives you some the contents of the box, the sprue layouts there and there. Decals, we'll have a look at the decals next. They give us carbon fiber decals, so that's kind of nice. And the color callouts. No sponsorship decals, so the Marlboro decals are not included in the kit, so those will have to be sourced aftermarket. Yeah, so there's the instructions, nicely laid out. Alright, so next up is the decals. I opened this because I had to get the photo etch sheet out to look at for another review I did. So a few things. I'll just put that off to the side. So in that bag was some photo etch for the radiators and the intercoolers. It's decent. It's not, it's two-dimensional. It doesn't go all the way through. So you can't see through the mesh part of the radiators. They give you little decals, or I guess they're metal transfers for the mirrors. Sponsorship logos, other than the tobacco sponsorship. They give you markings for both Senna and Prost, which is nice. Seatbelt material, which is a fabric type, sticky back, so it's probably white on the back side. Yeah. They give you the tire decals. So the Goodyear Eagle decals for the tires. They don't show any of the Goodyear on the box, but I noticed on the other decal sheet we had a Goodyear for the wing end plates, and you got all the ones for the tire. And these are chrome decals. These are decals for the heat shielding on the floor pan. And then we have 2 sheets of carbon fiber decals. So I'm not quite sure how complete this is. It looks like it's just for like the front monocoque components, wing end plates, those type of things. I don't think they give you enough decals to do the floor pan, the under tray. So there'd be the inside of the front and rear wing end plates. Looks like some of the wing planes. Maybe the brake ducts, I'm not quite sure. Some of those ones. Yeah, so looks like you got some of the carbon fiber, but not everything. All right. Next we'll have a quick look at the tires. Front and rear tires. Nothing on the sidewalls. Quite stiff, that's nice. They won't collapse under their own weight. There's no tread wear marks or wear depth indicators on the tires. Front tires are the same. There's a front tire, no sidewall detail. No wear indicators. I didn't compare these to any of the other tires I have to see both size-wise, but right away, with no sidewall detail and no tread detail, or at least the wear and burn indicators on them, I'd probably not use these. I'd use the Model Factory Hero ones. So here is the first part, the monocoque. It's got decent level of detail. Got some rivet detail on it. I don't know how accurate any of this is. Tops of the shock mounts are molded into the monocoque, not a separate piece. That's a little unusual. I think these are just termination points for all the hoses and cabling. They just have you run it in and down behind the engine or in front of the engine, and they just give you somewhere to terminate them all, which is not where they all terminate, obviously, but There is the body, the top cover. Which looks fairly well molded. I can't comment on the shape. These fronts look a little squared off from what I remember seeing of the actual car. These openings don't look quite right. But as far as a piece of molded plastic, it looks like it's well molded. This has been definitely a topic of conversation on this particular model. Is, as you can see, that's the demarcation line for the painting. Which Tamiya, they do something similar, but they just mold in a slightly raised line, which is fine. Typically, I sand that line off and then just figure out where the masking goes. But this whole area, this is the part that's red. This is the part that's white. This is raised up. The whole thing is higher than this piece, which is kind of backwards, because really you're going to paint the whole thing white and then paint the floor red over white anyway. So this area here is going to end up with the step between here. This is always going to be higher because it's going to have more paint than this. So that could be slightly problematic. And same thing at the front too. So the floor pan, one piece. Looks like it's got some nice detail on it. Some rivet detail along the top of the diffuser. There's some ejector pin marks that will probably need to be dealt with. The body bolts to this via these 4 holes here, which will be super secure, but let's see if we can get it to line up. But it's not a very realistic way of doing it. There we go. And we'll have 4 bolts there, and there. Lots of bolts showing on the bottom of this thing. But if you want to have this off on the inside of here, you got these massive supports that the bolts go into, which, yeah, I'd probably be getting rid of that and figuring out something a little bit better to secure these 2 pieces together. But all in all, it doesn't look bad. The diffuser vanes, they're a little on the thick side, but not terrible. Some slide molding that it's got some cleanup's going to need to be done here. Sorry, the camera keeps focusing on my hand instead of the parts. It's not bad, but it's not great. Again, this is quite thick. These edges here, the edge of the pan itself is quite thick. So there we go. Zoom out a bit for these larger sprues. So yeah, it looks like the bottom of the monocoque wing element seat. Looks like the cockpit tub there. Other various bits and pieces. It all looks pretty nice, actually. You know, nice molding, no flash or anything there. The transmission. Again, it looks like it has decent detail. can see any of that. It's all just split down the middle. Which is unfortunate that they didn't do like an end cap for the back of the transmission, because these, you can see these are supposed to be bolts, and they're obviously, because of the way it's molded, they're this big thing instead of a bolt in the end of the transmission. So anyways, the side pods don't look too bad. A little bit of detail there. The wheels. We got holes there for valve stems, so we must have separate valve stems. Two sets of those, obviously. And a bunch of small. These two are both the same. Looks like intake trumpets, other little bits and bobs. Hopefully this is focusing. Wing element. Looks like it's for the front wing. Some more of the front wing. I think these are the sides of the monocoque. There's some detail molded on those. Some rivet detail and a Dezeus fastener. Is there any just looking at the wing elements, doesn't look like there's any injector pin marks on them, so that's nice. I can get it to actually focus on that. Detail of the engine. Those are the sides of the block. Hubs. They look adequate. They weren't a highly detailed part. Engine components. Intake, which is, I believe that's it. They don't give you any other pieces for the intake. Where my thumb is, that's the underside of it. It's just left hollow, which I guess you'd never see under it, but valve covers. They look like they have decent detail. The clutch. Looks like front and rear of the cylinder block. Instrument cluster right here. Or the dash. Pedals. They look alright. Alternator, separate alternator. Recall from the B-Max kit, that's all molded in as one piece with the front covers, or the rear cover of the engine. So it's nice that that's separate. These are the cylinder heads, separate cylinder heads, which is an interesting way of doing it. Which appear to be slide molded, so we have detail on both ends, or all four sides, I guess. exhaust turbochargers. Radiator piping, radiators, so photo etch will make up the detail for the radiator faces here. So they're completely blank, no detail molded in. Pipes are molded on them. The two pipes are joined in the middle, which is a little simplified. Backside. That's the turbocharging detail. Looks all right. Looks like these are the cylinders. I haven't seen any pistons. I don't think it comes with any internals. Steering wheel. The electronic boxes. Looks all right. Shock absorbers. They look quite nice. We can get it to focus on those. So it's got the thread detail on the shock bodies. That's kind of nice. It's actually really nice. I haven't seen, especially in a plastic model, any with that. Even some of the Model Factory Hero, they don't do that. They usually do these in a turned aluminum, so they don't thread them. So that's quite nice. Oil cooler, that looks pretty good. Side pod exhaust detail there. So this is interesting, this sprue here. Let me zoom out a little bit. You know, there's basically what I'd say is three different sprues molded onto this one main runner. So that's kind of indicating that they might come out with different variants of this car. You know, we've got end plates on this one and this one for the front and rear, and then the side pod intakes or exhaust, which all change depending on which race this was competing in. And they don't tell you, that's one thing I noticed, they don't tell you what race this is depicting. This looks like they molded in a way that they could potentially come out with different variants in the future. And same with all the wing elements there. Here's one here. Let's get it zoomed back in. You know, they did all the wing elements on a separate sprue. So looks like this is going to be two pieces, so there'll be big seams to fill in there. Lots of little tiny sprues they give you. So most everything was packaged one sprue per bag, except it was one big sprue and then one little sprue randomly thrown in. This looks like it's the fuel injector rails and lines. Nicely molded. Sorry, I'm just looking close at these. Yeah, nicely molded detail on these. I don't know if you can, you know, the fittings look really well molded on that where the regulator is. So yeah, these are actually quite nice. intercooler tanks and piping, seatbelt buckles and the release. They look alright. These are the intercoolers. The other part of the radiator face, this is the intercooler radiator face. Brake calipers and rotors. There's 2 sprues of this one. Caliper detail's okay. I did another review on some aftermarket brake set for this one. I'll link that at the end of this video. But the kit parts look okay. Both the rotors and the calipers, they're adequate. You get windshield, clear part for the windshield. Not the thinnest thing I've ever seen. It's looking rather thick. And there's a clear red for the brake light, or rain light. Then they give you a stand. You get 2 of these. This is meant to be a body stand. You can put the body displayed on that. So that was just another sprue of that. And then finally we have all the suspension arms, steering rods, the push rods or pull rods for the suspension, all done in die-cast metal. And I'm not going to get them out of the bag, but the detail looks pretty good on these. You know, I'd say in some of the areas it's better than Tamiya in terms of detail. So that's on the white metal parts, or on the die-cast metal parts, like on the FW14 for example. These ones look nicer. And then finally, we just get some random bag of stuff, a little screwdriver, because I believe there is a crap ton of screws, some rubber. I was going to say vinyl, but this is actually a rubber hose. That's kind of nice hose, actually. It's hard to find rubber hose. Some thicker stuff. This is rubber as well, or silicone potentially. This would be the nuts and bolts for the nuts for the wheels. But I don't know if you can see that in there. There's valve stems in there as well. Little turned valve stems. That's kind of nice. And then this would be it's probably a shift rod, the springs, and those are the bolts for the wheels. So that's it. That's what comes in the kit. It looks decent overall. You know, there's a few things that looked a little simplified. There's some other things that look really well detailed. The body looks good. That step in it where for the color demarcation isn't great. So there's no tobacco decals. That's a negative. The tires, lack of detail on the sidewalls. It's a negative. You get the tire decals for it, so that's not bad. But you know, they'd definitely be an area to upgrade. It looks like a decent kit. Meng Models have a good reputation for going together well, and I think that's sort of one of their things, is they make kits that are easy to build and easy to assemble and paint. So I think that's the approach they took here, and that's what it looks like. It looks like it's going to go together fairly easily. It's not terribly complex. Options wise, I did a review for the brakes. There's a 3D printed aftermarket set of brakes for this model, as well as the radiators, which are a little bit more detailed. And then as far as marking goes, if you want to get the tobacco sponsorship, there's a couple options. Taboo Design makes one specifically for this kit, which just give you the optional Marlboro markings and a couple other little things. They give you all the tire decals again, but they came in the kit, so this was inexpensive. It's only like $12 or something like that. So that's out there. This is made for this kit. It just gives you the sponsorship decals that you need. The colors look good. They look like it's a fluorescent red, which the other option is I found was this one. And this one's interesting. They just give you the Marlboro decals, but they give you all the decals for all the different wings. And they tell you which ones to use based on which wing it's for, which race it was for. So 4 different wings, so you get 4 different sets of decals for the various different rear wing layouts that they use. So that's an option as well. And they look to be decent decals. I've never used these before, so I don't know how well they work, and I don't know which of the two I'll use, but those are out there, and they're both inexpensive options for this kit. So anyways, with that, I will wrap it up. It's a good little kit by the looks of it. It should build up fairly quickly. Lots of decals, so that'll be fun. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.